Back and bigger than ever, it's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carey, Josh, Eddie, and Bob.
All right, we are back. Happy birthday, America. It's the July 4th edition of the Unofficial 40 podcast from Soonerscoop.com. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you have a safe and fun holiday weekend. Avoid work. Hopefully you're avoiding work on Friday as well. I think most smart people probably, you planners out there, I'm not the best planner, as Josh knows, but I guarantee if we had a corporate policy, Josh, to where you had to take off days to get them off, you would be that guy that in January probably would have taken this Friday off. Because you're just a planner.
Yeah, I usually have a pretty good idea of my schedule 6 months in advance. I know when my next 2 vacations are already. Literally,
Eddie and I hate you. We hate those people.
I know. Hey, I have one. I'm gonna say during the season everybody's gonna gasp and then realize it's the off week, so it's fine. But yeah, so that's going on in my world.
You know, we can rip on you, but I can tell you, I think I can speak for Eddie. We both suck at taking vacations. Like I've never really had good vacations.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take staycations just to get away from waking up early in the morning, and then I just do stupid.
Yeah, that's the
shit.
vacation is just not waking up in the morning at 4:30.
Yeah.
That's a vacation in itself. Like I felt like I was in vacation just last week in Atlanta.
You don't have to go to like the Muldives. Is it the Muldives or just Maldive? I don't know.
I think there is a the. No, it's just Maldives. Yeah.
And is that Southeast Asia?
I believe that's right.
Like by Indonesia, are you Google mapping it?
I don't want to go.
By the way, it is Happy July.
You get like a 7-year-old prostitute over there.
It's July. Okay. It is July. I don't want to get myself.
It's like down by like Sri Lanka. Is that what you're thinking of?
Southeast Asia.
Like in the middle of like dead south of India?
Well, yeah, the Maldives or the Maldives, that's where they have the best, those yachts or those houses that sit above water.
Oh my God. You have to like pan in on Google Maps. It doesn't even show up. It just looks like it's in the ocean. That place is one big storm away from just being wiped off the planet.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It probably has before,
that might have been where they did that couples movie with like Jon Favreau and...
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Do you think they get like...
Bora Bora.
I was Bora Bora. Do you think they get daily updates on the polar ice caps? They're like, man, if those things melt like half an inch, we're just screwed.
Our huts are screwed. Our business is over. You won't need the coffee table that looks into the ocean. You'll just be in the ocean.
Now, guys, it's 4th of July, so obviously there's going to be some people listening to us even on the 4th, maybe post-4th. A lot of celebratory listening. Yeah, exactly. And I want you to know I'm one of you. I'm a lake person for sure.
I think the world can do with fewer lake people. I'm just putting that out there.
Oh, that's wrong. Lake people are good people. Let's
face it, there's a class of lake person.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's two maybe even 3 or 4 different, very different lake experiences.
There's Kid Rock lake people, and then there's Jimmy Buffett lake people, and then there's probably like, the Jason Mraz, Jack Johnson lake people that are a little bit hipper, but still kind of the same younger parrot heads.
I bet River Rat will be out this weekend in full force.
The Rat.
I don't know what happens to Ruffin McNeil, but when he gets on
some water, doesn't he?
He will tweet like he's in charge of OU social media.
Like all the coaches, I think they enjoy the water. Lincoln was fishing this past week. Brian Odom was fishing this past week. A lot of fishing being done.
I love fishing. I mean, that's a part of my life that I no longer partake in, but I was a huge fisherman back in the day.
It doesn't bother me.
Be a pond hopper.
I could probably do without. I'd rather go to the golf course, but like, are you a Grand Lake type guy or a Eufaula Lake type guy? I think there's 2 different. Are you going to Shangri-La or are you going to the backwoods?
Josh is in between. He's Lake Texoma, I'm saying.
There's Texoma. I grew up kind of going to Texoma, so it's not too bad.
Texoma's okay. My favorite lake in Oklahoma is Murray down in Ardmore. I've always liked going down there. I have a buddy that had a cabin
that had a place down there.
Yeah, well, because it's not really set up like that, so you can't live on the lake.
Right.
It's kind of a weird breakdown. That's why I think it's not as popular as some others.
We did our Letterman's outings at Duncan at Lake Murray.
It's no Hiwassee.
I don't know out there. Hiwassee. No.
I've always been impressed by Keystone Lake, just driving by it, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
Can't say I've ever been up there too often.
The last time I was by Keystone,
yeah, it's a huge bridge.
That's why I was up there in the spring when it was pouring, and you were like, I'd never seen the water that high. That was a little that was kind of crazy.
Well, it is July. There's not a whole lot going on. This is going to be kind of a dick around podcast.
You know what we are in the heart of, don't you? You realize what we're in the heart of?
The dead zone for sports?
Basically, which means we are in the heart of
Mount Rushmore season.
Mount Rushmore season for sure, but it is the heart of the college football portion of the year when it's close enough to where people, when you talk about college football, you kind of listen. Like if it was June, I wouldn't listen at all. I just don't care. July, you kind of get there, but we're in the heart of, I can't believe this article was written about insert team.
Yeah, no, or, I mean, just, you look at all the clickbait sites that are out there just trying way too hard right now.
Like I saw that the board is up in arms about the Kirk Bowles article about Sammy Ehlinger, as far as, like, if you say that Sammy Ehlinger is a good football player.
You said it two different ways so far now.
How many ways? Hey, every time Eddie says Sam Ehlinger wrong, drink. That's what you're doing on the lake.
Yeah,
right
you're going to be wasted by the end of this podcast. Like, if you say anything positive about Texas, Oklahoma fans will just kill you. And vice versa. If you're Texas and you say anything positive about Oklahoma, it's like the craziest thing that you could possibly say on July 4th.
You know what? It's that time of the year when I think OU fans are gearing themselves up for Texas to be ranked number one in the preseason poll.
In the Big 12 preseason?
Because
or just
in the Big 12 preseason poll, yeah. Because it's just, you have so much media from Texas that it just so happens that they've been so bad that you haven't had the Texas effect on the preseason polls. But now that they beat Georgia, they've got that glimmer of hope. You know, Sam Ehlinger, you know, other than Terry Bradshaw, he's been pretty much universally praised.
When we talk about olds, see Terry Bradshaw. That's the example.
Well, you know, back in the day when 5A really mattered.
Terry Bradshaw's an old, just as much as the people that were upset with the Alex Morgan T-SIP yesterday, because there are people like that are upset and think that was classless, that aren't British.
Yeah.
Those people, I'm not going to say they deserve to die.
Round them up.
But round them up for sure. We need to put them in a stockade.
Peter King's an old, apparently.
Oh, my God.
Josh,
all right, here we go.
I am self-admittedly.
Wind him up.
Self-admittedly, I'm way too triggered for this, but I have loved George Shea forever. And to find out what an absolute f***wad that guy is after watching the 30 for 30 on Kobayashi versus Joey Chestnut. And granted, it's hard to watch that damn contest because it's just disgusting with the wet buns all over everybody's faces. But still, to find out what they did to Kobayashi, basically, it was like Pearl Harbor in reverse. They Pearl Harbored him.
Wow.
You literally just connected Peter King and the 30 for 30 all into one idea.
That's like somebody that I saw on Twitter saying that the celebration yesterday was too much because the Boston Tea Party was an act of terrorism. I also saw somebody.
Yeah, are we far enough away that Boston Tea Party and Pearl Harbor? No,
somebody said,
is it
still too soon? Yeah, is it still too soon?
Yeah.
The other one that I really enjoyed was somebody had responded to Peter King and said, they said, he said the thing about the
how
children going hungry and stuff.
To highlight gluttony when we have such a hunger problem in our country.
Somebody else followed it up and said, yeah, that's why when teams pour Gatorade on their coach, you know how many people could have been drinking that Gatorade? You know how many people die from dehydration a year?
There's only millions of people in India that don't have water right now, but, he's celebrating Gatorade.
It's so funny.
But no, I was disturbed by that. It's just, Major League Eating is such a low rent, operation after watching that. Like, I remember we looked it up to find out.
Kind of what you expected, though, right?
Like, what you win if you win the hot dog eating contest, which, if you go on that show Chopped on the Food Network, I don't know if there's any people out there that watch Chopped like I do. But, like, if you win the round to advance to the grand finale, you get $10,000 just for winning a round.
Those people are creating food, though.
But I'm saying the people that are the biggest champions in the world of competitive eating, they only get $10,000 for winning.
That's too much.
It's not too much. It's not nearly enough.
It's too much money.
You should win at least $50,000 for being
because you can stuff your face faster than somebody else.
Yes, those guys work hard to eat that much food.
They do not. Oh my gosh, this is like
you
calling.
Didn't watch this.
I had it on, but
you didn't watch a little thing about exercises that Joey Chestnut was going through.
I heard them. They were disgusting. A fun fact about me: if you have subtitles in your show, probably not going to watch it.
Kobayashi hasn't learned to speak English yet.
And that's why he should have been kicked out of America. All right, this is Trump's America.
That's a fire take right there.
We speak English here, Kobayashi.
That's right, especially on July 4th.
But it is funny that that this came out and it's clear. I don't know how much that was played up because with documentaries you never know. It's called a documentary, but they're not really documenting anything. By the way, when's the quarterback? When's the Spencer Rattler QB1 coming out? That the Unofficial 40 is supposed to, that we signed a waiver for.
That's a good question. Usually it's like probably middle August, maybe something like that.
By the way, did you see that? What the latest thing was with the Indy coach, the former Indy coach?
Yeah. Impersonating a lawyer from California,
like multiple felonies.
Yeah, he might not be a very smart individual. I know that's breaking news to a lot of people.
Did they announce what they're doing this next season?
Yeah, they're going back, I think,
to Indy, but without him.
Yeah,
so they'll have all this stuff documented.
I believe so.
Ooh, that'll be good. What if he's in his hot tub bragging about impersonating a lawyer?
Definitely is going to have to sell that hot tub if he needs a lawyer.
So, yeah, it's that time of year. And I guess my Kobayashi fake anger is over now.
Yeah, 8 felonies.
Did you guys like it? I thought it was a waste. I didn't understand why that was a 30 for 30.
I thought it was great.
I was really looking forward to it, and then it was just like, Kobayashi sad. Roll credits.
His mom died of cancer during the thing. Come on.
What does it have to do with the competition?
It was sad. How are you saying it was fake sad?
I'm not saying it was fake sad. I'm saying, okay, he's sad. End of story. Like, that's not a story. There was no depth to it. Like, it was just like, oh, yeah, they have a rivalry, but they really seem to like each other, and there's no hard feelings at all between each other.
George Shea made him sign basically a slave contract that controlled all of his competitive eating functions, and then when he wouldn't sign it, some contract that was so one-sided, and he wouldn't sign it, he wouldn't let him compete anymore in the Nathan's Hot Dog. The guy that turned Nathan's Hot Dog eating contest into a nationwide spectacle. He basically told Michael Jordan, hey, NBA doesn't want you anymore.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan's an athlete.
That dude just eats.
Kobayashi's trying to eat a lot.
I don't know why.
All you guys sitting there cooking on your grill, Carey thinks you're an athlete because you're going to eat 6 hot dogs today. And you can do it.
Not to mention,
I think you should eat 1 and give 5 away to starving children.
Not to mention that low rent organization that only gives you $10,000 for winning had international appeal and they threw it away. I mean, like the NBA is like starting a league in Africa. Major League Baseball is going to London. Your Cubbies are going next year.
Not if they keep playing like the way
The NFL
they are.
plays in London. What, is it more than 2 games a year now?
I mean, does this surprise you, though? It's in Staten Island. Staten Island's trash.
I've never been there, but
I haven't either, but I can imagine the boardwalk is completely trash.
I bet it's disgusting.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by any of it, but it just I'm surprised that Nathan's has their name attached to such a low rent operation.
Doesn't surprise me at all.
And I'm disgusted by George Shea.
But at noon tomorrow, we'll all be watching, right? Isn't it at noon? Or I guess 11 here.
11 here. But Kobayashi's not in it, so why would you watch it? Joey Chestnut's going to win.
And that's the other thing. From what I did see, Joey Chestnut is he's a supreme loser.
Yeah.
Like, he gives off that vibe that there's nobody more important in this world than Joey Chestnut.
I will say, yeah, his arrogance for being who he is very unjustified. It's like, dude, you eat for a living, okay?
Like, if we want to consider
net worth,
you're not even Jeff Gordon.
I'd say if we wanted to consider the most famous athletes, like, where would Joey Chestnut rank? Like, barely above like a middling NFL cornerback?
No, not even that high. It'd have to be like a WNBA bench player.
Like, I would recognize Lisa Leslie before I would recognize Joey Chestnut.
Oh, if I saw Joey Chestnut, I think I would recognize him.
I don't know.
I'd probably
maybe more than Sue Bird or somebody.
It would have to be in the right setting. If I walked past him, like, at the mall or something, which a place I haven't been in a long time, but I probably wouldn't realize who that is. But if it was at like an eating competition or something, I'd be like, oh, that's Joey Chestnut.
I mean, think about the person that wants Joey Chestnut's autograph. That's the real loser.
Oh my God, I can probably build you a exact bio of somebody that would.
What would their Twitter bio say? That would start probably talk about the reality shows they love to watch.
It would start location Staten Island.
Probably. Something along the lines of proud husband, father, brother, and son.
Maybe.
One of those.
And love
I've seen Lee
America.
Greenwood 128 times.
Oh, I talked about this morning. There's nobody that's worse in the world than the guy over the next couple of days that will tell you how bad America is, what's wrong with America, and oh, by the way, Lee Greenwood, that song's really not about how much he loves America. It's about something else. Or the Bruce Springsteen song.
The Bruce Springsteen song really apparently is anti-America.
Yeah, but it's still a good song.
But the Lee Greenwood,
people are going to listen to it.
The Lee Greenwood song, there's not one shred of evidence throughout that song that is anything but I love America. There's no hidden message in Lee Greenwood's song. What is it? What is the name of the song?
God bless the USA.
God bless the USA. Is it
No,
Proud to be an American?
Yeah,
no, it's God Bless the USA is the name of the song.
Hang on.
100%.
I'm pulling up Spotify right now.
I'm looking at it right now. God Bless the USA.
Point. Eddie Radosevich.
Let's see here.
The other thing
I'm still
is,
not trusting it.
like Lee Greenwood, he's not playing DC tonight. Like he's got some casino in Arizona or something that's probably paying him $1 million to show up and sing that song.
You know who is
tonight.
playing a casino tonight?
Who?
Toby Keith.
What casino?
Mohegan Sun.
Oh, that's the big one. He's getting paid $1 million.
Who's playing on the National Mall? That parade's supposed to be awesome. They're gonna have tanks.
I mean, that's usually. Remember they have a hard time getting acts because Donald Trump is not liberal friendly.
Yeah, they get some like the third tenor that nobody's ever heard of.
To be liberal.
It's crazy how that works.
And there's other musicians who are not liberal just because musicians are liberal. Like maybe a scooper. So, yeah, I mean, this is the time of year. Everything that we can say about OU football right now is stuff we've already said. Because Eddie and I were talking about this, like, how many times can you talk about, this was his point, how many times can you talk about OU's defense?
My thoughts on Oklahoma's defense are the same that they were in mid-May.
April 14th.
Yeah, or mid-April.
Yeah.
They need to be better.
Nothing's changed.
They need to be better.
And I don't think, I mean, there's no way Alex Grinch is like, oh, I feel much better now than I did after spring practice was over.
No. There's nothing that has happened.
I mean, other than, some freshmen that might be more impressive than you thought in summer workouts, you still have to get them out on the field, though, to see if they can do anything.
Well, did you read what he's been telling Josh Eaton?
Yeah. That was
amazing. That's an
amazing quote.
He told me what it is, straight up. Oklahoma is hurting at defensive back. They're hurting on defense. Basically, he told me that there was not one person from the defense that could go to the NFL right now.
And he's been pretty consistent that that's how he feels. Like, he hasn't been praising anybody in particular. I would say, Ronnie Perkins might be the one guy that got just universal praise during the spring. When you say that, Eddie? I Neville think so. A little bit.
I think Neville in ways got, I guess, I don't know about Pub, but there's just so many question marks going into this season. And obviously, I mean, we're going to be in Dallas here in a couple of weeks, and that's going to help, I guess, to maybe get an insight into what's been going on this summer. But, I mean, outside of insert name, has really looked good working out with footwork guru down in wherever. Like, what? I mean, how much are you supposed to really take out of that? And they're in the same spot that they've been in for the last 5 or 6 years, as far as there's going to be some reason to think that they could be better, but until they actually do it, who knows?
Dude, I've been working out with Chuck Gutt's Skills Handwork Champion Academy.
Yeah, I'm glad you can catch tennis balls with your eyes closed. Can you fucking tackle somebody? Can you do that?
We need to build a website with that academy. Just see who we get to sign up.
Oh, I'm sure that there's people out there that pay hundreds of dollars to do it.
Gary Murdoch's Handwork Academy.
the Aaron Donald Knife Academy.
Oh yeah, that was so ridiculous. It looks great.
Can you imagine how many just I don't know, just charlatan trainers are out there with knives after seeing that,
just cutting kids up? It's like, well, I'm trying to be like Aaron Donald. You're not Aaron Donald, okay? Let's get that out of the way.
Exactly. Like, they're like, if you want to be Aaron Donald, this is what you got to do. Like, there's only one path to the NFL, and that's to risk your life and limb at 14.
Oh, what we need to do, Eddie. God, this is like, I was talking about our YouTube channel, which is still in the planning stages. I would love to recreate Tom Emanski's defensive baseball skills video.
Did you see Fred McGriff talking about it?
Yeah, I played it this morning.
It was really good.
It's like one of the world's biggest unanswered questions. Like, why the hell did Fred McGriff do that Tom Emanski thing?
In his prime.
Yeah.
He was a very well-known player right at that time.
Yeah, he had just become, one of the better players in Major League Baseball, but it was because Tom Emanski helped him with his swing 6 years prior and apparently fixed his swing. And so he just asked him as a favor, will you come down? And he booked a field. Like, when it was in Chicago. I think they finished playing he was playing for the Braves. So they finished playing at Wrigley.
Probably playing the Cubs, yeah.
Yeah. And he just came over there after the game. He said, put on this T-shirt and this hat and just say this one line. And it was so low rent. Like, who would have thought that would have been a commercial that played for 20 years? Nonstop.
I wonder what the biggest camp money grab is out there right now.
Bakers.
$200.
I mean, Baker made a lot of money at that camp.
That was at least a full day, and
But
he's
you know
out there interacting and doing stuff. It's better than some that don't even show up to the camp, you know?
Yeah. I always thought like Wes Welker did a good job with his camps, being there. There was a 1 year when like Adrian Peterson couldn't do it, so they got like Jason White and somebody else to come out and do his camp. But I don't think the thing about Baker's camp is I don't think a lot of those campers are hurting for money. It had a definite rich white kid vibe to it.
Probably. I don't know.
Or a well-to-do white kid vibe.
Is that racist?
Well, were there a lot more white kids out there than black kids or Hispanic kids or Asian kids?
I blacked out after somebody tried to step in front of my camera shot.
Did we ever talk about that, Josh?
Yes.
Okay.
Did we talk about it on the pod?
I don't think we need to talk about it on the pod. I didn't know if you were aware.
Yes,
talked about it, though.
I am.
I think everything.
yeah.
There's rules of etiquette.
Everything is fine now.
There's rules of etiquette.
Everybody is friends. Everybody's getting along. We're good. But there was a media scrub.
Why are you doing
Eddie
that?
takes
It's
no
like
shit.
the no talk thing around your neck. You're telling me not to say anything.
It's a gag order, Eddie. That's what it's called. I mean,
Kinky.
I think I would be more interested to go out and watch like Skip Johnson's baseball camp, I think, than another Baker Mayfield camp.
They are having a elite camp right now for Skip Johnson. I think that thing was like
Mark McGuire
was like $500.
Mark McGuire's kid was here.
Yeah, is that the little kid? Like the little bat boy?
I don't know.
He would be older, wouldn't he? I think he'd be older. This must be
Mark
another
McGuire's
son.
Kid, yeah, he would have to be like almost 18, you would think.
Well, I mean, that was in 98, so he was at least 11 or 12, so he's way older. This has to be like a younger kid. This kid probably was born with HGH in his body already. So Mark McGuire doesn't have to give it to him.
It's just fused with his DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
Androstenedione, it's part of his makeup.
Kid pops out and is like, "Oh, why do you have pimples already?" Well, it's Mark McGuire's kid.
It's back acne, kid. But I will say this. I mean, you guys have kind of finished publishing all the 5-star content. You got Greg Vandegrift in there, Brock's father, kind of just cleaning that all up this week. Josh, was there anything that was kind of, I don't know, that kind of summarized it for you?
I don't know if there's like one idea that really stood out to me, but it was one of those things where we came into that camp, and it's one of the reasons I like having the guys around each other and kind of being in those settings is because you get a good feel. Like with Bryson Washington, you get to talk to him a little bit, but you also see who he's hanging out with, and he's around Josh Eaton a lot, and he's, you kind of get a feel for like, because these guys love to talk about, oh, that's my boy, that's my guy. But then when you get around the camp, you kind of see like, okay, that really is a buddy of his, or that's just dude he knows, so you start getting a feel for relationships. And as we head into the season, the fall, you start getting that guy commits, that could have an impact here. And you can kind of see the dominoes starting to fall.
That's kind of like what I took out of it last year was, Trajan Bridges and Theo Weiss were obviously very close. Yet there wasn't a ton of interaction with Jaden Hazelwood then. And it kind of left you thinking, I don't know, how really interested he is in OU.
To be fair, Eddie and I had a lot of trouble interacting with Jaden Hazelwood. So, we had to hunt for that interview.
Oh, I would have lost a lot of money walking out of that interview if you would have said that he was going to sign with Oklahoma in, 5 months?
Yeah.
Okay, Eddie, handicap it. Jaden Hazelwood at that moment after that interview, or the safety from Fresno that
LJ Moore and Hatari Bird.
Yeah,
I mean, probably Hazelwood just for the fact that he was able to put together sentences. If you would have told me that LJ Moore was going to later go on to be
Pimp out his own girlfriend.
And pimp out a former OU cheerleader, I probably would have became closer friends with him. LJ Moore's probably living in like Southside Oklahoma City. He's going to kill me one day. I'm going to walk out in my garage and he's just going to be standing there.
I think he's been local. I mean,
I need to get a security detail.
Eddie, if you see a car when they flip off the lights, man, I don't know if you've seen Boys in the Hood and how these things work, but man, just be cool.
That's why I never shine my lights at anybody.
Yeah, I'm still
turn around on me.
I still live by that rule. Your lights are off, that's your problem.
Yeah. That's why I just stay in my own lane, you know?
But I mean, look, the 5-star is great. You know, a lot of OU ties out there. The opening's been going on, and outside, I mean, I think the real thing that we might get out of the opening is just when you can see guys on the line with pads on. To me, that's kind of interesting. But, I mean, OU's best targets there are running backs, and I would say, and Josh, I know we talked about this before the pod, but I've always kind of thought the running back in these camp environments is the most other than watching Joe Mixon, just how amazing he was as a receiver.
That was everything else that he was doing, tipping balls to himself and just
he
looking
was
out of it.
Ridiculous.
He was a running back that was the best wide receiver at that camp. That's why it was so impressive.
5-star national camp, yeah. But normally, who was the guy that got killed that was committed to Oklahoma at the first one? Greg Bryant. I mean, like, you watch him and you're like, wow, he's big. You know, he really does jump in and out of cuts really well. I remember watching Leonard Fournette thinking he's kind of like Adrian Peterson, but not quite. I mean, you kind of get to size him up physically, but I don't know that you ever really learn a whole lot about somebody's running back ability at camps like this.
Running back is the one position that I think the best you're going to get out of it as a camp is watching them go through drills, seeing their feet, how they move, how quick they are, all that stuff. Like, you're going to get a better feel for that than almost anything else that's going to show, in a camp setting. Because even if you want to say, okay, you can see him as a receiver. Okay, fine. But you're seeing it in a setting where, okay, they reach for a ball and a swing pass or something. That's fine when you know you're not going to get hit. It's a whole different thing when you reach up to, expose your ribs and somebody could spear you. Like, I mean, it's just a different animal. So, like I said, I would have liked to have been up there. It wasn't my plan not to be. It just kind of didn't work out the way some travel had gone. And being in Atlanta and seeing almost all of these guys that I would have watched this week, really the only guys I didn't see were like Nate Anderson and Ryan Watts, who I saw like a month ago. So it was just kind of a deal where, is that really the best way to use our time? I'm already working on what I'm going to, we talked about early in the pod. I'm a planner. I've already got a basic outline of my season schedule even into November. So like I'm going to see everybody I need to see. It's no problem. And again, with McGowan and McClellan, the two guys I really didn't get to see this spring, I'd rather see them in a game setting than just in, shorts and a T-shirt.
If you have any questions about Jace McClellan, just turn on that state championship game.
It's not like you haven't seen.
And that's against pretty good competition, right, Josh? I would say.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not Allen or Duncanville, but I mean, you're playing, even like you go down to like Jalen Conyers playing a state championship game. You're playing a state championship game. You're playing good talent. I mean, it may not be on your level because, Jace is special, Jalen's special. That's fine. But in general, especially at Jace's level, you're playing good athletes.
Go ask Nate Anderson what he thinks of Jace, because they knocked out Frisco Reedy last year. And everyone, my nephew goes there, and my brother, he's in the band, so my brother goes to all the games. Like, he was blown away by Jace McClellan in person. I mean, you've seen it on TV. I mean, like you said.
He was unstoppable at points during that game, and it was hard to imagine that it was like, oh my God, this guy's just a junior.
I think he should sit this year and just go to college next year.
I could be down for starting to advocate for that. That would... I don't think there are some olds that would not even be able to grasp that idea.
Oh, Alito would burn to the ground.
People just calling into the local radio show.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh.
Hey, Carey, something you can tell your brother. I just looking at the schedule. Reedy was the closest game Aledo played all year.
Yeah, they were really hot in the playoffs. They have a linebacker that's really good, right? Or was he at 19?
Who does?
Reedy.
Yeah, Reedy graduated quite a bit. You could tell. Excuse me, when I was there. But I mean, like the week before they played South Oak Cliff, Aledo did and beat them by 2 touchdowns. They played Reedy, won by 10. The next week in the state semifinals, they played Wichita Falls Rider and won by 56.
Jeez.
And the state championship game, they won by 36 over Fort Bend Marshall, who's probably got 5-6 Division I guys.
It's a factory out there.
Oh, man.
You've been out there. I watched that. I forgot. I think his name's Jerry Christopher. He put together that documentary. It wasn't Friday Night Lights, but it was something along those lines. Followed Aledo around. And, I mean, it is, when you think that is as close to Friday Night Lights type Permian, I would imagine, that you can get in the state of Texas.
Oh, there's no question. It's a cool atmosphere out there. It really is. Because, like, you're right on the edge of Fort Worth, but it feels like you're out in the middle of the country. Like, it just kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. And you've got these kids that grew up and all they want, it's kind of like Ada back in the day. Like, all they wanted to do was play football for Ada, and same deal with Aledo. And in this situation, you also you're close enough to Fort Worth that you get some guys like Jason McClellan or JoJo Earl in the 2021 class. It's a really good slot receiver. You get enough of those guys to kind of either move in or they come in, whatever. And then you've really got something, because you've got the program guys, and then you've got just enough of that elite talent to separate you from all the schools in Texas that have kids that grew up dreaming of playing for, Aledo or wherever else.
I mean, coaches obviously have been, we talked about that earlier, been on vacations, kind of getting those in, tweeting, that kind of stuff. So I guess, like, the next big step before the season is the barbecue, right, Josh? Or is there an official weekend they're trying to set up alongside that? Or I guess they can't right now. So
yeah, I think that the window is closed at this point, so there's nothing they can do. But yeah, the weekend should be the first thing. I'm hoping probably early next week to start putting out my first list of visitors we're expecting to come in for that. We've already heard some good names. But yeah, I mean, I think you'll again, when Lincoln Riley and that staff seem to be at their best is when they've got a big event to sell. They can really sink their teeth into it and show the kids. And I think some of it is the staff largely being very young guys. They can get out there and play, and have fun and do the water balloon fights. And, I don't know how the new standing president is going to fill in for James Gallagher in his water balloon fighting last year. But,
Gallagher probably trying to show up.
Nobody taking my spot.
Dude, the only reason we were nice to you is because you were the president. You got to kick rocks now.
Wow. They turn fast on you there, Jim.
Well,
your old buddy Eddie
if he would have knocked down the honors college, I'd probably be more of a fan of him.
But no, like I said, I think you're going to see a lot happen. But it's kind of interesting to talk about because there is so much that probably will happen between now and then that it's going to affect what that barbecue is going to look like, because I think we all expect Andrew Raym to know his verdict by then. Bryson Washington announces on the 4th of July. Yeah, I love Bryson, but I don't love him for that choice. Then you've got, guys like Josh Eaton could announce here before too long. Brynden Walker's now in. So there are just a lot of moving parts that are going to affect, okay, do we want to bring this guy in? Do we not want to bring this guy in? And they'll kind of, and I think fans will get an idea of what they're looking at based on that. And then again, you're going to watch, and I talked about it in the Brynden Walker, the new feature I kind of worked on called The Big Answers, which it was just an idea of kind of, okay, this has happened. Now what are we looking at? And really, I look at linebacker, and everybody's worried about it for years and years. Now Brian Odom has 2 guys, and Edgerrin Cooper and Brynden Walker. He can start looking to 2021. So maybe you see some 2021 linebackers really get a push from Oklahoma over the next month and then show up on campus for the barbecue, and then you can really start to build that bond.
Those are probably the 3 guys that Oklahoma fans want to hear about the most. And I guess we can start with Brynden Walker just as far as it finally happened. He finally flipped from Oklahoma State. And then I want to ask you about Bryson Washington and then obviously Andrew Raym, since he was kind of the centerpiece of our last podcast. But
yeah, and is that a win that there was no commitment since our last podcast?
I think it was. You know, I said on the pod last week, I said it several places on the site, I thought if he announced when we were podding last week, he would have picked Georgia. As more time goes on, I feel like Georgia's momentum recedes a little bit. And you're starting to – and I spoke to a source last night, and they kind of said, I still think he's going to go to Oklahoma. And that was the first time I'd heard that in a while. Now, no one is sure, and I mean Georgia's not sure, Oklahoma's not sure, Michigan, for whatever they're involved at this point, they're not sure. I talk to people at Broken Arrow, and I don't get a lot of impression that they really think it's all squared away. So there's still kind of things going on, conversations with him. I will say he is more quiet now with me than he had been in a little while. So I'm thinking it's all getting pretty close. I said last week I thought it would be over by this coming Friday. I don't know that I'm there with that yet, but I do think we're getting down to the final probably 7 to 10 days.
Well, it definitely seemed like, and from everything that we had heard in Atlanta, and then you come back and 24 hours later, we're recording that podcast 7 days ago. I left the studio thinking basically he's going to commit in the next 4 or 5 hours. Like I thought
Get ready for the meltdown.
I basically thought it was imminent. Yeah, I was preparing for a meltdown.
Guys, what I was hearing, just none of it. Like I said, the momentum was not on Oklahoma's side. Sure. And I think with Lincoln Riley and Bill Bedenbaugh and just Drew Hill, you go down the entirety of that staff, I think they've done a good job of just saying, hey, just take your time, no rush. They knew where they kind of stood, and I think they did a good job of just make sure you look at everything here. Don't get swept up in this pitch or that pitch. Think about, what you've felt for a long time. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's almost like a side of recruiting that you never really think about as far as, everybody's always saying, these guys got to be out. They got to be recruiting. They got to be in these guys' what's the cliche line is recruiting is kind of like shaving. You have to do it every day. And while you are doing it every day, it's almost like instead of pressing and pressing and pressing, you almost have to say at points like, just give it time, let it breathe, let everything kind of work itself out. And that's kind of basically what you're saying Oklahoma did.
Oh, absolutely. You can talk to a lot of kids that are, if you push, they're going to get turned off. It's not their speed. And again, and you've got to know where things are. Like if Oklahoma's, we're in the lead, we just have this guy in for, the spring game, whatever, we need to push. Like this is as good as it's going to get for us. We need to get him on the boat if we can.
And it's because you recruit every day that you're able to do that, right? Because you have that relationship.
Because you're so present, exactly. Right. Like the people to talk to, where you stood. There is no question to me that Oklahoma knew that things were not trending in the right direction a week ago. And that's why I mentioned it in the pod, and I mentioned it in the notes thread that I posted before the pod went up. That Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley had gotten in touch with his father and had a long talk with him. My impression from talking to Andrew is I don't think he was even aware that conversation had happened until like a day later. So Oklahoma wasn't I think they were trying to do a good job of making sure all the people that were going to be involved in this conversation from Andrew's side heard from them. But maybe we're going to give Andrew a little room to breathe. So I think they were kind of just reading the situation, and I think they played it pretty well. If he picked Georgia right now, it shouldn't shock anyone. It's very possible. But I still think in the end, almost no matter what happens at this point, I would still bet on Oklahoma in mid-December.
All right, let me throw this out. As you mentioned, Bryson Washington going to announce on 4th of July. Tomorrow at 7?
Is that what he said?
Yeah, I believe so. That's right.
I thought it was even later.
I think it's 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So here's my question. This is me trying to put on my Sherlock Holmes hat. We know that...
Take that off. It's douchey.
We know that... got a lot of family, probably a lot of Texas family. If you make that announcement at a big family gathering, don't you want it to be something that everybody's going to kind of celebrate? Would that give Texas an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, like, I can see how you would argue it that way. I don't think we're going to have a Landon Collins scenario here where, like, mom is, like, going to throw the hat down, or that just horribly uncomfortable television moment. And Eddie and I, we talked to him last week, and he mentioned, mom kind of prefers Texas, but he also was like, but she wants me to do what I want to do and what's best for me and that kind of thing. And some kids say that, but I mean, I really do have the impression this is Bryson's decision. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. And I really expect this to be Alex Grinch's first major win. I mentioned it in the pod, and actually before we came on, I was talking to you guys about it, and I was going through the list of times that Oklahoma has won head up against Texas for a 4-star or better recruit. Since 2003, it's happened twice. And that's just unbelievable. And now I think Oklahoma's going to hope that things go a little better for Bryson than maybe Alonzo Dotson, former Oklahoma defensive end, big-time signee out of Elsick.
Yeah.
And then you have Kenneth Murray being the other one. And a little too early to judge where Murray has gone, but I think it would be safe for OU fans to hope that maybe Washington's first couple years are maybe a little less up and down than Kenneth Murray's.
That's a terrible stat. I would keep that to yourself.
Well, like I said, the problem is I teased it. Like, I kept saying, oh man, this hadn't happened in forever. And I really expected to find Alonzo Dotson. Not that it was him, just that kind of, okay, it's been almost 20 years. I kind of forgot about Kenneth Murray and how hard Texas pushed for him down the stretch.
Wait, what about Jamarcus McFarland?
No, Houston area.
Oh, Houston area. Okay,
yeah. Yeah, that's what because it's just, when Vince Young picked Texas, it just killed everybody else in Houston for a while. He was such a big deal, and he had all the success at UT that it was just a conveyor belt of guys going to UT from the Houston area. And Oklahoma's never done that well in Houston anyway until the last about maybe 5 years. So, like I said, that was what I really wanted to look at. And now you've got, not two comparisons you're dying for. Nothing. Like I said, Kenneth Murray it's an interesting conversation. But Bryson Washington's a guy that I'm sure Oklahoma is hoping can come in and make a pretty early impact.
Now, that was Raym, Washington. You said there was a third guy, Eddie, right?
Yeah, the latest commit in Oklahoma's 2020 class, Brynden Walker. Finally, I guess flipping, and I say finally because I think that there might have been some points there that you didn't really know what Oklahoma's situation was, but I think everybody kind of thought that this thing was going to end up how most in-state recruiting battles between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State have gone here over the last couple of years.
Did Robert Allen have anything weird to say about this one?
There was some type of veiled shot as far as it said something along the lines of when Oklahoma and Oklahoma's media members or something get involved, you usually see how it ends up or something like that. It was ignorant, is to say the least.
Well, if we could all go to, Robert's class of Journalism 101, I mean, we could learn a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, with Brynden, I don't know how anybody on Oklahoma State's side of things could have felt really good, because he makes the whole comment about, I feel good about Oklahoma. And I think it was Robert Allen that was like, he's done, blah, blah, blah. So I hit up Brynden just to verify, and because that's what we in media do. And he said, I feel better about Oklahoma State, but unprovoked, nothing from me. I just kind of asked him if he was done, and he goes, yeah, I kind of said, I feel better about Oklahoma State. I'm a little more confident where I am with them, but I'm not closing the door on Oklahoma. I'm still talking to them. Like, I still want to hear from Oklahoma. So from the very beginning of this, renewed connection to Oklahoma State, he was very clear that nothing had really changed with Oklahoma. He just felt better about OSU than he had. So that this happened, it kind of surprises me that it happened this fast afterward. But I mentioned it a few weeks ago in the pod, I had a feeling that Oklahoma was trying to decide what their numbers were going to look like. And I think once they got Edgerrin Cooper in, they kind of said, okay, we want to have Brynden, and we're going to let Brynden, we're going to see how other things play out. I still think Brynden could end up inside, or he could end up being the rush guy in this class. There's still some conversation about how that's going to play out. I would consider him a linebacker right now, because I know they still want to look at some rush guys. But if that doesn't go the way they want it to, I think they're more than comfortable putting him in that role.
His senior film is going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully he can play the entire season, not have any injuries or anything, because just from talking to some people around the McGinnis program, they're basically going to say, all right, big boy, go find the football, make a play. You're basically going to be in the middle of the defense, go find the football, tackle.
Just make your way through all these 5'8"
You're going to be
guys.
better than a lot of people that you play against. Go make a play.
Oh, there's not a lot of guys on any level. I mean, I don't care if you go Texas 6A. There's not a lot of dudes that are 6'2", 230 and can run. I mean, those guys that's why they're coveted. So, and like I said, I mentioned earlier Grinch doing a really nice job with Bryson Washington. I think there's a lot of credit due here to both he and Odom, because they identified him. They knew that, I think sometimes Oklahoma gets knocked in state because they only offer a guy if he's got all the major offers already. And while Brennan's got some good offers, I don't know that you'd say he had anything on Oklahoma's level. I guess you could argue Texas. But there just wasn't there weren't those elite offers just rolling in for him. But Oklahoma saw a guy that could help them and could really answer a question. Where we've talked for a lot on the pod about, well, it's really hard on defense right now because you don't have anything on tape. There's nothing Alex Grinch can show these guys with guys in OU uniforms and say, this is what it's going to be. You're going to fill this spot. You're going to be here. He can't do that yet. So he's going off a lot of faith. And this is the kind of guy that has some athleticism, brings good things to the table. And because he's an in-state guy, he's going to be more inclined to buy what you're selling. So I like I said, 2020 to me is about finding the best pieces you can get, putting a good product on the field in 2019. And then I think in 2021, we start getting a real picture of what things are going to look like in recruiting, because I always think that first year is really tough, especially when you've made as many changes as Oklahoma did.
And to me, that's what I think OU fans should be excited about, is that, Alex Grinch and Brian Odom are finally recruiting to a system. The two positions that have been probably, you could say defensive end has been a struggle, edge rushers, but linebackers, especially after the last 2 years, and then secondary, safeties last year more so than anything, but quarters haven't been great. It's just nice to know that they have coaches that are coaching to a system. They're younger guys. They believe in what they're doing wholeheartedly. Everybody's on the same page. That's got to pay off, compared to what the bleep show that was happening.
Guys, we've talked about that going a couple years now. You just can't each year reinvent yourself. You have to be what you are. And I think people that are like, well, why isn't OU recruiting this guy or that guy or blah, blah, because they don't fit. And that's cool to go say, okay, best talent. And in the NFL, you can do that because you can turn over your roster in a year if that's what you really want to do. But in college, man, you have what you have, and it takes you at least 2 or 3 years to get the personnel that are going to fit your scheme. But Oklahoma, luckily, kind of already had the groundwork laid. But as we talked about forever, it seemed like Mike Stoops could never just commit to, okay, we're a 3 down. This is what we're going to do. Well, now Grinch kind of has the basic outline, and now he can get the guys that really fit what he wants to do. And you're starting to see that with guys like Perrion Winfrey, the big long corners like Dante Manning and Ryan Watts. So you get an idea of what he's looking for. And if he can start to just turn the corner on the field, there are a whole bunch of elite guys that would love to buy into Oklahoma.
it's pretty incredible, and I think you've seen it on the offensive side of the ball. And Brock Vandegrift might be one of the best examples, just as far as when you are able to get some success on one side, on one particular side of the football, it kind of becomes a snowball effect. And especially when you have a program and everything that goes with a school like Oklahoma, it just makes that pitch even stronger to guys. And I think that obviously they're going to need to turn it around on the field, and that's going to be seen if they can do that during the season. But if you are able to do that, and then you do get some highly ranked guys that are able to buy into the program and want to be a part of that, I just would think that pitch, you're not having to knock down some, I don't want to say negative recruiting, but you're not having to answer questions that maybe you would that maybe these guys are right now on the recruiting trail. Oh,
there's no question. And also, Eddie, when you look at it, and we talk all the time about momentum and getting things going. Well, look at Oklahoma's in-state offers. Generally, guys that are going to be more inclined to commit early. Ethan Downs, defensive end. Kendall Daniels, a linebacker. AJ Green, corner. Those are your 3 2021 in-state offers. If you could get those guys on board, then you start, because it's not just about, okay, they're good talents, because they all are. I like all 3 of those guys, to varying degrees. But you also get to say, okay, we've already got one corner in 2021. Rivals 100 guy from Arizona or wherever, we've only got one other corner spot left. If you want to get on this with us and maybe go compete for a national championship or probably make the playoffs 3 out of your 4 years here, then we need you to go ahead and do it. And it allows you you don't want to get into too high stakes of pressure, but you get to lean on the guy a little bit and say, hey, we've got you and 3 other guys, first come, first serve, and we've only got one spot. So, like I said, there is just a chance to build momentum when you can get some on-field, something on-field that you can sell, and then you get these other things starting to happen.
Really, Big 12 Media Days coming up July 15th. Oklahoma will be on that Monday. So that's the first chance we'll get in a while to talk to players. We kind of have an idea of what to expect that OU is going to take. And from what we've heard, doesn't sound like Jalen Hurts will be someone that is representing the team, which I think is only fair. I mean, he's not going to be named the starter until they're in camp. Everybody would like for him to be there. I think that'd be really good publicity for Oklahoma. There'd be a lot of, I think you'd have some national writers that would be more willing to this. I mean, probably Sam Ehlinger will be the biggest name, would you say, of all the people that'll show up? Eddie, your guess?
Just trying to think of anybody else in the Big 12. Yeah, I would certainly think so.
And let's face it, Sam Ehlinger is a fringe national award candidate.
Oh, Jesus. I mean, watch what you say. There's going to be people that take this the wrong way, either side of it. Like some people think that he's the greatest quarterback of all time, and then there's other people that are surprised that he can complete a screen pass.
Guess what, bitchers? You're talking to people who have covered the last 2 Heisman Trophy winners. We know what a real quarterback looks like. Well, I'm not saying Sam Ehlinger's doesn't have some good qualities. He's a tough kid. He will go back out there with a concussion because his coach makes him do that and play. But he's not special as a thrower. He's just a really tough, gritty quarterback that makes plays.
He's a really good college quarterback.
Yeah. I have no problem saying he's...
And that's like... I think people think that that's like a bash on him if you don't say, oh, this guy's going to win a Heisman. It's like, I don't know if I'm there yet, but you know what? If Texas wins the Big 12, he's going to be in New York City. Because that's the way that the Heisman Trophy is won these days. If you're at a blue blood and you do really well, if you go 11-1, 12-1, or 13-0, your team's going to get, your quarterback's going to get there because that's all anybody cares about.
We kept cutting Josh off, sorry.
No, you're fine. For me, Ehlinger is like not the runner that Tim Tebow was, but a better passer. Like he's somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah.
And like I said, everybody, it's so funny because you'll see Texas fans, well, nobody's ever done this, this, and this. Well, there's like 17 criteria. It's like the stat I heard the other day about, it was like LeBron James, Oscar Robertson, and, the guy that just signed for the Bulls. And it was like 17 criteria.
The guy or whatever you're talking about?
No, it was, damn. It doesn't matter. But like, if you create enough criteria, you can make any guy fit into a conversation of, okay, this guy and Ted Williams are pretty much the same person. No, that's not the way that works.
Yeah, because they play baseball.
Nobody
they both play baseball.
Nobody who has ever started 34 games in their career has thrown for this many yards, rushed for this many yards, and thrown this many interceptions.
And had a completion percentage between 62 and 62.5. Okay.
The other part of that is the people that, he's not going to be Baker, or he's not going to be Kyler. Who is? I still don't think that people realize how good and successful these offenses have been. And it's not, and again, I said this last year, but I just want to caution everybody, don't expect that. It's
think about,
almost incapable to expect something like that.
Think about it this way. Sam Ehlinger is running the offense that J.T. Barrett ran at Ohio State. It's an offense that lets you make some plays with your feet. It can create some big plays down the field. And it's as good a passing offense as you can make it as a thrower. And he can make it a good offense, but it's really it's just not the most explosive offense. There's a lot of misdirection. There's a lot of QB run game. It is not like what Lincoln is doing as an offense.
Well, and I think a lot of that, and I guess this is probably just because,
like, they would love to have Jalen Hurts run their offense at Texas. He'd be great for what, to me, Jalen Hurts would run a very similar offense. He'd be better in the run game. He wouldn't be as good of a deep thrower probably as Ehlinger has been. But he's not going to run that offense at Oklahoma. I mean, Lincoln Riley's not changing to Urban Meyer's offense.
How good were a lot of those Ohio State offenses just because they had a really good running back, too?
Yeah.
Like, he took a lot of the pressure off of those guys. I mean, look what Ezekiel Elliott was able to do up there.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like, they want to run.
I don't
this
think Keontae Ingram is Ezekiel Elliott either.
Yeah, where they pound you and then
J.K. Dobbs is really good.
They lull you to sleep and then hit you over the top. You've got to be good enough up front and have a back that's a difference maker to make that work. That doesn't just happen because you want it to.
Yeah, I mean, that the one thing about Texas that's just weird is the running back thing. I mean, like, that they just can't do better than what they've done.
Well, it was like once the state you went to find running backs. Like, they always had great running backs. And now the state's flagship program can't find. I mean, and again, I think Keontae Ingram's a pretty good back. I think back, he is. Yeah. I think he can be a comparable guy to Kennedy Brooks. Like, maybe not in style, but just like production. I think he's a similar level of player. But is that? I mean, that's not Ezekiel Elliott. That doesn't. He's not going to cure all that ails you like an Elliott or somebody elite like that would.
Yeah, I mean, there's so few backs that can do it all for you. I mean,
sure.
The tough runner, the receiver out of the backfield, the breakaway speed. I mean, even Oklahoma hasn't had that very often.
I do think it is fair to say, as a whole, though, we go into Big 12 Media Days in a couple weeks thinking, I mean, it's OU and Texas, Kansas and Kansas State probably 9 and 10. 3 through 7, you could spit out a preseason poll with any of those teams in any order. I'd probably say, yeah, that probably sounds right.
I'll be really curious about Iowa State. I mean, people forget.
I think that Iowa State's getting ready to set out, even though they have Brock Purdy coming back. It's a classic. Everybody's going to wonder why they're not putting up the numbers that they did. And it's very easy to distinguish. They don't have Akeem Butler and they don't have David Montgomery anymore.
They had that other receiver, though, that was pretty good.
Well, against OU, anybody was good.
Everybody was good against OU.
I think this is kind of crazy. I think Baylor's going to be pretty good. I think Charlie Brewer and Matt Rule, and the only tough road game that Baylor has is in Stillwater. They have OU, they have Texas, they have TCU, all in Waco.
And all the stuff with Gundy, just how he doesn't handle not having historic success.
It's just weird.
Like, that just seems like it's and the stuff that's going on with recruiting with him.
Mike Gundy recruits like he thinks he's Nick Saban. Doesn't he? A little bit? And Nick Saban's not even as crazy as he is.
I think Nick Saban works a hell of a lot harder.
No, he does. There's no doubt about that.
If he's recruiting like Nick Saban.
I think Mike Gundy recruits like he thinks Nick Saban recruits. Like, Nick Saban just rolls his hat out there. No, Nick Saban's a dogged recruiter. That dude works all the time on it. Like, I don't think that's what Mike Gundy imagines Nick Saban actually does.
Nick Saban was back in his office 2 days after hip surgery, working long hours. I mean, he's insane.
It's like I said, he is. I mean, there's a reason he's the standard. And I mean, there are more than one reason he's the standard, but you cannot fault the guy's work. I mean, the dude is tireless. At what, like 65?
I just heard Bagman, Eddie. Did you just hear it, Bagman?
I don't think there's any doubt that
the Bagman.
I don't want to be accusatory, but yeah, it seems to be there's growing sentiment in college football that everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Some people are doing it on a completely different playing field than others. And I think that for the most part, you could say that 12 of the 14 in the SEC are probably doing it. They have 14? Is that right?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah.
But Vanderbilt is not, and
probably, I don't know. Vanderbilt probably is. I mean, they're basically just cheating in baseball.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're naive to say that everyone that's really good isn't cheating, especially the Blue Bloods. Like, some people like Tennessee are probably cheating poorly.
The people that should be really upset are the people that are cheating their ass off and still losing, like LSU.
Why do you think people hated Butch Jones so much?
Because he wouldn't? Or because they were paying enough to cheat?
They were recruiting really well. I mean, they were getting him the players.
That's probably true.
But yeah, the LSU, if I'm the guy that owned that chain of Arby's or whatever that was paying for offensive players, I would be pissed.
Oh, you said Butch Jones. That's where you meant Les Miles.
No, Tennessee Butch Jones.
No, he's talking about Tennessee. And then he also said LSU as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And
they're all kind of lumped in together.
I'll stop helping. I had Butch Davis in my head, and I was like, Butch Davis at North Carolina. Nobody's giving him any damn money.
Well, Butch Jones is at Alabama now.
No, I'm with you. No, I butchered
part of the rehab program.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the coaching car wash.
Basically is.
Go in there, clean it up, and all of a sudden, Steve Sarkisian doesn't have a drinking problem. So
it's funny how that works too. Maybe it was just an LA thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find a bar in Alabama, I'm sure.
Well, there aren't any in Tuscaloosa, I can tell you that.
So yeah, I mean, Big 12 Media Days. Look, I mean, I would imagine Kenneth Murray will be there.
Kenneth Murray.
Oh, that's a guarantee.
Creed.
Gallimore.
Neville?
Gallimore.
Who's your other offensive guy?
CD.
Yeah, I could see CD.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be bad.
Or Calcaterra.
I don't think there's any guy that's grown more in front of the camera than CeeDee Lamb. When I first started interviewing that kid, he was nervous. Like,
terrifying.
You could tell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now he's like, man, I'm freaking CeeDee Lamb, whatever. So he's a receiver. He's become a star receiver.
He's all grown up.
I think that's, out of everything this year, I think I'm most excited to see what kind of jump he's going to make.
I think I'm pretty on record saying that I think he's going to, I would not only be in the discussion for the Blitnikoff, if he's not a finalist, I would be, I don't want to say shocked, but
I'd be shocked if both he and Tylen Wallace aren't finalists this year.
My only problem with Tylen is just the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
What did you think of Spencer Sanders coming out?
I didn't love him. I thought he was kind of like what we're talking about with Ehlinger. God damn it, Eddie, you've got me doing it now.
Have a little respect for the guy. Say his name right.
So I kind of thought he was like Sam. Like, he just was a guy that was a really good athlete, wasn't elite as a passer, but you kind of thought, okay, he's big enough, athletic enough, that can develop. But I definitely wasn't a guy, I know that there was definitely some overtures from some people around the program to kind of try and get Oklahoma to take a look. And from what I could gather, there was never a lot of interest. Even when the Cameron Rising thing happened, you kind of thought, okay, that guy makes a lot of sense. Maybe they go after Spencer Sanders. Even at that point, I heard no talk that was a real possibility.
Who's the last Denton Guyer quarterback that's been worth a damn?
J.W. Walsh wasn't terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wouldn't have had that foot injury.
Let's say, a star that became a starter. I mean,
seems like those guys all grow up playing 2 or 3 years down there. I mean,
Sean Robinson's terrible.
Yeah. What did
called that one?
The Eli Sowers kid just committed to A&M, right? He's a Guyer kid, right?
Yeah, I saw him actually last year against Devon Graham, and kind of the same story. He was just a sophomore, so you don't want to get too much into, he can't throw, because you just don't know. You want to see more. But, he is 6'4", 6'5". He can really run, really fluid athlete. I thought he threw a decent ball. I didn't think it was like that'll never work kind of thing. But he needs time. He's not the guy that you don't watch him and you're like, oh, Brock Vandegrift better watch his back. There was none of that. So, but I think it's a take that makes sense for A&M because, again, like we talked about when Brock happened, dominoes start falling, man. Once the number one guy's off the board, everybody starts moving. And I would expect by now and mid-August, I bet you 5, 6, 7 more major programs get their 2021 quarterbacks.
And I think it's good that it happens that way because then I think for the most part, guys feel slotted in and they're like, yeah, I made my choice. And there's nowhere else for me to go.
And it's funny. That's what, we talked about it with Brock. Like, could he look around? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There'll be some program that's kind of the situation Oklahoma is in 2020 where some guy could slip in there if he wanted to. But for the most part, it's full. Like guys, the quarterback is kind of the first domino to fall.
All right. Well, look, we're looking forward to July 15th, sort of. We'd like a little downtime here this weekend. But, stay tuned for any and all announcements that could be happening around the holidays as Bryson Washington coming down, whether you're listening to this either today if you're listening on Thursday or tomorrow if you're listening today on Wednesday. So keep up with all that. I know I wanted to appreciate everybody that took advantage of our promotion that we've been running since Brock Vandegrift committed. It was a great promotion, one of the best Junes that we've ever had at the site. So glad that you guys could sign up for that, and glad.
And it's still running.
And it's still we extended it?
Yep. It's to, I believe, a week. It's on the 9th, I think, is when it ends.
Ooh.
We had such good response.
We were going to end it yesterday.
Yep.
But, okay, yeah. So go get it till the 9th.
It was to celebrate Bob's child.
God, I can't believe I haven't brought that up. I got so used to not, we didn't really want to talk about it. I think, first kid and all that stuff. But anyway, yes, congratulations to Bob and Brittany. First child, healthy girl. 7 pounds, 2 ounces? Was that it, Josh?
I believe that was right. Although I don't want to say too much because I know they want to keep a little bit of it to themselves. So, everybody, but I know he told us they're home now. Everybody's good. Everybody's healthy. We're hoping Bob has slept since we talked to him last. Those first few nights are rough.
We started a war room without him just not to bug him.
Yeah. Because our
company-wide text group.
There's nothing worse than you've got the baby down and like you've set your phone down on their little nightstand and the phone goes off, wakes the baby up. That's not a great time in your life.
And I thought you said something interesting, and it really made it hit home with me yesterday. Because Bob thought that the schedule was that they would be home yesterday, and they followed the schedule. And you said you remember when you left the hospital for the first time, and you were thinking like, this can't be right. They can't be allowing us to take a child home. Like, we don't know what we're doing.
Tiffany and I both were like, what? Like, because you kind of think there's going to be this big like. All this circumstance is going to be this, like, and before you go, let's talk about this and this and this. They're just like, all right, your doctor said you're good to go. Yeah, we're going to roll you down. Tiffany's going to hold the baby in the wheelchair. But the funniest thing for us is, like, we had gone through all the car installation, like, and we had gotten real serious about it, like, to the point we'd driven around our neighborhood with nothing in the, like, we'd put weight in it. We'd taken weight out to see if like it was going to move. God. Like we were really, cause everybody it was like the one thing Tiffany and I got really scared about. Like, we don't know how to do this. So we got that right. And the thing that we'd never actually considered is how to buckle them in the damn thing. We'd never done it before. And so we're like, so I set her in it, and Lainey's so little. I mean, she's just, like the seat just envelops her. And we're kind of looking at it, and there's a lady that's there that basically scans our bands and scans Lainey's to make sure that we can leave with her. And so she scans
and you're not just stealing a baby.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, like all the floors of the hospital, like you have to go through this whole series of, okay, scan this, just to make sure that babies go home with who they're supposed to. And so we get down there, and I'm like, okay, do I click it here? And she was like, sir, I can't touch the baby. And I'm like, you can't, you've never seen a car seat before? You work here all the time. And she would not, like, she would offer no advice, no help. She just stared at me.
Like a liability thing or something.
Yes. Oh, no, I mean, I get it, but I'm like, damn it. So I'm trying, and then, like, I get it on her, and of course she's furious, and I'm trying to tighten it, and that's only pissing her off more. It was a shit show, but like, yeah, you do, like, you get in the car and you're driving home and you keep looking back like there's a baby in this car. Like that's my baby. And it's a weird sensation. Like, this can't be normal. Like, surely we forgot something, or like somebody was supposed to tell us something that they didn't.
That was the part that Casey Anthony didn't like.
Wow.
What? I watched the A&E series. I'm just throwing it out there.
I was wondering.
Is that what went wrong? They just forgot to tell her?
Yeah. That was it.
I was wondering this, Eddie, like, how much respect do you have for Megan Rapinoe?
I like her.
Is she like a female Eddie?
I don't know about that. I think we...
Well, you're a lesbian,
well, I guess
too.
Yeah, technically.
Yeah.
We definitely have the same interest in women, for sure. I like her. Not bad. I just have been particularly wrapped up with the... and we kind of talked about at the beginning, but just the anti-Nike, if you're not American, you're against it. Or if you're not what some people think is American, you're against it. I'm really enjoying that back and forth between the olds and I guess just the new wave. I haven't gotten
too wrapped up in all that stuff, I got to admit. By the way, I want to say this also. I think this was on a ratings and review on iTunes. I think I'm speaking for Eddie as well. We don't hate children. We don't hate people with children. We're just saying, yeah, you have kids. Good. It's not for us.
I have a bunch of friends that have kids. Yeah. Cousins have kids. I like kids.
I'm great with my nieces and nephews.
I have two, and like, you guys have, it's never been a problem. You guys schedule around my kids' shit all the time. Like, it's not that big a deal. People,
I mean, it's annoying.
People look for stuff to get. Well, yeah, no, it would piss me off if it wasn't me. Like, I get it. It's no problem. But I mean, people with kids have to understand we have to deal, like there are certain things that people without kids are A, not going to understand, and B, don't give a shit about. Nobody wants to see the pictures of your kids You guys have been around me. I've never shown you pictures of Lainey. Been like, oh, look at this. Like, I'll send you something when I look stupid, like Lainey puts me in a tiara or some shit like that, like something funny. But I'm not like, oh, look how sweet and adorable my little angel is. She's my problem. She's not yours.
What's his name that made fun of your daughter? The Baylor apologist?
Oh, yeah.
Jason King?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Has he moved down to Mount Vernon to cover high school football yet?
You know, I love that, like, he finally gave in when, like, basically it was just clear that there was no way that it didn't happen the way everybody thought it did.
What I never understood about that thing was you fought with him all the time. I really didn't say much to him, but he blocked me and not you.
I was always surprised about that. I thought he would block me because I was Eddie-like in my pursuit of him. Like, all I needed was a good hashtag. Like, that's my JoJo. But I went after him at every turn because I just couldn't believe how dense he was about the whole thing. And honestly, I don't think he was. I think he just didn't want to admit it. Like, he dug himself such a deep hole that he didn't know where to go.
That was weird. I don't know if it was because maybe I shamed him at some point saying I used to really respect you when you worked for Yahoo Sports or something like that.
I could see it going that way.
I feel like I did kind of tell him like I'd lost respect for him at one point.
When we get into Twitter fights, I feel like two of us always end up involved. And there's one that's the Eddie character, as it were, and there's one that's like I think you could have done this in a better way. Like, it's kind of like the dad shame.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
I don't think anybody's ever disappointed, though, when we all three go after Taylor Ham. That's just easy.
I've never
That's
really
just
contributed to that stuff.
It's just easy. It's too easy.
We need to find someone for Bob to go after.
Oh, my God. If we could find, like, a mortal enemy for Bob.
That's when we'll know that we've really corrupted him.
Well, that's the day that Bob goes after somebody, that person's in the wrong. Like, that person will be in the wrong. It'll be 100%.
It's like if Barry Trammell went after someone on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, you would know that person royally screwed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we will get out of here. We want everyone to be safe and enjoy your holiday. I'm sorry for those of you, Eddie, who have to work on Friday.
Just unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Enjoy your holiday weekend. At least it'll be 3 out of 4 days for most of you. It's just the waking up early that's going to suck on Friday. So thanks to everybody for listening. Don't forget, the special, Josh, what is the promo code? Is it Scoop 20?
It's Boomer 2019.
Boomer 2019. You can get, if you sign up for just a month, you just want to try us out, we will give you up to fall camp for free. So basically you get all of July for free. And there's been a lot of recruiting news lately for you to get. If you sign up for a year, we'll actually give you basically an extra 6 months for free. So it's a great promotion coming up. I don't expect the big, like if you're waiting for like the big gear promotion, I don't think that's happening this year. So I could be wrong.
I think instead of that this year, we're going to actually send you a freshman girl from the Adams Tower.
No, we're not.
It's part of the new Born Initiative.
How many
Oh, my God.
creepy. So it's a boy, a male.
Yeah, that's not going through Rush, but is smart because he's a National Merit Scholar. So good for you.
All right. That will officially do it for this edition of the Unofficial Podcast. Congratulations again to Bob and his wife Brittany on their new baby. So new mouth to feed around here. So go sign up for Sooner Scoop. We'll see you guys next week right back here on the Unofficial 40 on Soonerscoop.com podcasts.